This is the Recovery Lab.
Here we dive deep into the struggles, victories, and hope that stem from recovery.
No shame, no judgment, just truth, grace, and inspiration.
Let's walk this road together.
Good afternoon. We're coming to you on a Saturday. I'm very excited about this episode 146. We've got a couple very special guests here, but before we get started with them, I'm Brynn Knox.
I'm Daniel Anderson.
I'm David Sugg. We're Recovery Lab.
Yeah, we are. All right, so today we've got Cordie Rodenbaugh. Rodenbaugh. We practiced that beforehand. Rodenbaugh. Cordie Rodenbaugh and Renee Clements, and I am so glad that y'all are here today. It might get a little emotional, but we've got tissues, and but the good part is we're going to be sharing about the Walk for Lives. I definitely want to start with that. I want to start with this event and everything you guys have put into it, what people can expect, and the importance of showing up and what a difference that makes. So welcome, and tell us about this walk.
Okay. We're so thankful that the city of Madison has embraced us.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The three of us moms, we came to them, and Mayor Mary just thought, this is great. Yes, the host city, the fire department, the police department, everybody is super excited about it. So we do. We thank Madison for everything that they're doing. And but it's to bring families together and to give them knowledge of what's going on with the fentanyl and all the synthetic drugs that are hitting our kids, and kids that you would never expect to die from this. Kids, we've had 3 just recently around our community, in the Vicksburg area, the Brandon area, that have just died. And so it's here, and that's what I love about Mayor Mary. She said, what can we do? It's our kids. We've got to protect them. And that's what this main thing is. And to have a memorial walk for our kids that have passed away. And we've got so many people, 17 resource tables. So if you do have an addiction problem, there's help out there. There's parents, if parents come and they think, I need help, but I don't know where to go, there will be there. If you have lost a loved one and you don't know what to do as far as, to find out how you can get justice or whatever, there will be people there too, but it's mainly to help people to recover and also to be aware. It's to help save our kids. And there's going to be so many great speakers that will speak, and the United Against Fentanyl and the DEA have came together and joined forces, and so this is a national walk all over 50 states, and Madison will represent Mississippi. And we've gotten so many awesome door prizes.
I'm excited.
Like great, not little dinky door prizes, like great door prizes.
Like
and
what? Tell me about some prizes.
Oh, there's like
The size
what?
of a boat.
There's
Okay, well, the boat's not a prize, but being on a boat.
yeah, you got a fishing thing. We've got
no way.
a spa package. We got
Yes.
gas cards, $50 gas cards.
Need
We've
those,
got
yeah.
yes, we need those. There's Amazon card, Shapley's card,
Okay, girl.
Walkers.
Restaurants.
Some nice gifts,
That's
and
awesome.
a lot of them. So we will be giving those away throughout the speakers, and then we'll have bouncy houses for kids and snow cones. We're giving away tickets for a free meal. You can either get a free meal or 2 snow cones for that ticket.
Oh, wow.
For the first so many people, probably so many hundred people that come in. So they'll get free food. We just kept on just adding.
Yeah, because the bouncy houses and all that, something for the kids is different. That's something y'all added, right?
Yes, yes.
That's
yes.
a huge.
And that way you can bring your kids out. The little ones can play. Bring your teens out. They need to hear this message. Your college kids need to hear this message. So we're hoping it'll be a little bit for everyone and then we're giving free Narcan to everyone. We're going to have plenty of Narcan and demonstrations. And I don't think people realize that Narcan needs to be in every household.
Yeah.
Because it not only is for someone that maybe have an addiction and they overdose. This is for grandma, grandpa that takes too much medication, or a child that gets in there. It's not for all medication, but there's certain things like Tylenol 3 or anything that the doctor gives. We're given a list of several drugs on there that you will have in your cabinet, and it'll help.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes, so it needs to be in every home.
And if a child or a grandparent takes the wrong medicine and it was not an opioid, Narcan's not going to hurt them.
It's not.
If you give it and that's not what it was, it doesn't hurt them.
Okay.
So it doesn't hurt to try.
Yes.
If if you're not sure what your grandfather
before the
or
ambulance
child,
gets there or whatever, you can give that to them.
Yep.
That's good to know.
Yes.
Because I can see someone, first of all, not being sure how to use it. So I'm glad you guys are doing a demenstration,
Right.
like it's on like a dummy, right?
Mhm.
And
It
so you're
is.
doing a demonstration on that, but also little stuff like that. Like, I do this and I'm around all this stuff all the time, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that there's, it can't hurt you if it's not an opioid in the system.
Right.
Yeah. No.
You might as well just
Right.
try it.
Right.
And you can give a dose every 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay.
Yes.
And it helps block the receptors with the
Yeah.
opioid. And if it's not, then it doesn't affect you.
Did you ever think that you would have to know all these facts?
No. Well, other than being in working for a periodontist, so we would sedate patients. Other than that, did not know I would ever need to know anything. But I'm glad that I do, to be able to tell other people and make other people aware.
Yeah.
What about you? Did you think
Yeah.
you would know?
No. I mean, all this, I never thought I would have to deal with any of this. Never thought, besides taking speech class in college, never thought I would be speaking in front of people. And but after Parker died, it was just so hard, and that's all I wanted to do was talk about it and talk about it to everyone, and that's what I hope every parent does. Some people speak, like us, and then I always tell people, like my husband, he's not a speaker in front of people, but he will catch, if we're in a restaurant and somebody's serving pizza, waiter, he'll be over there talking to the waiter about it. Or there was one time that we were at a gas station, had the kids in the car, and they were like, "What's keeping Dad?" And I went in there, and he had a group of kids and the cashier, and they were praying, and he had told them about Parker's story.
Wow.
So that's how he deals with it. But, so everybody can make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm already tears.
Well, speaking of making a difference, Parker's Law.
Yes.
Talk about that.
How that came about was we, after the trial, because the guy that had brought the drugs to Mississippi State.
Tell him what happened, and then tell us how the law came to be.
Yes.
Is this the craziest story? I mean, it's
Yeah.
not because it's
well,
common,
it's
but
it was just so unexpected.
yeah, one of those like, are you kidding me?
Right. And I mean, even his friends were shaking their head like, this isn't real. This isn't real. This didn't happen. And but yeah, I was getting Parker ready for his junior year at college at Mississippi State, and he was so excited and so pumped up. And I remember sitting on the couch and talking, and he was like telling me about his internship with an architect. And he was like, this year's going to be awesome, And so he was so ready to start that year. And we didn't know that one of his classmates in high school had turned drug dealer. And, well, I think he dealt with some stuff, but him and another guy had gotten some drugs, illicit drugs, synthetic drugs, off of the internet from China. And one guy took $750 to Ole Miss, and he took $450 to Starkville. And that was what they were going to do. He didn't have a job, or he wasn't registered for school. He just thought, I can turn this 80 cents a dose to $10 a dose, and boom, turn 450 into 4,500. I mean, that's a great thing, and just getting my friends like Parker. Parker's got a lot of friends. If I can get him to take it, then I can get it going like that. And so we didn't know all that was happening, And I thought I was sending my kid to school where it was safe. And he was just fixing to get his dreams going. And so anyway, we got the whole trailer packed. And I remember I was giving him my patio furniture because I was getting new patio furniture. And the house he had it, the Cotton District, had a pool. And so he was all pumped up. He said, my roommates are going to be so excited when I do this. And we were packing it up, and he looked and he said, Mom, can I have the umbrella? I said, sure, you can have the umbrella.
You need the umbrella.
Yes. So that's what he did. When he got there, they didn't know they were having actually a fantasy football party at his house, and that he rented with 4 other boys. And I know he was getting all that furniture out to sneak out and show them, look what I got. And so he came through the back door, and that guy was there. And so anyway, a lot had happened. It was like 8 o'clock when he got there. And so when he took it, and I don't know why he took it, but he took it. And I can't change that. And but there was like probably over 20 people there. And one guy from Ole Miss was there, and he testified, he said, he went to that guy and he said, something's wrong with Parker, keeps on talking in circles. And he said, oh, I just gave him this. He's just having a bad trip. And then Parker proceeded running into walls, shelves, just bleeding head, knees. I mean, he should have said, we got to get Parker to the hospital.
Yeah.
But he didn't. And for 3 hours, he watched Parker. And a lot of kids there didn't know Parker had taken a drug. They thought he was just drunk. Parker didn't have any alcohol in his system. And Parker started fell in convulsions, foaming at the mouth, turning blue. And that guy left and went back to his apartment. And the police said, you can tell on the phone what he done. And it said, what do you do if you're having a bad reaction trip? And with a split second, it was, what do you do in Mario Kart? He started playing video games. It was like, no worries. And so the police just couldn't get over that.
I can't either.
And so anyway, we went through trial, and he was convicted 10 years for the drugs that they had found on him in his closet. And then he got 20 years for Parker's death. And then the DA called me one day after the appeals and everything, and he said, Cordie, he said, the drug was confirmed, but the murder was overturned. He said, we don't have a law. Mississippi doesn't have a law for any of this. He said, we've got to have a Parker's law. And I just started crying because that took me back to a day after Parker finished his first year of college and was trying to figure out what he wanted to do. And I said, Parker, we could do this. Papa said you could just join the Army and do this. He said, Mama, whatever I do, I want to make a difference in this world. And I can just see him sitting there and telling me that. And I told the DA, I said, that this is it. This is Parker's difference. And so I didn't know what to do. I did not know how to do a law. And 2 weeks later, somebody had said, Cordie, we want you to speak at Kosciuszko at this town hall meeting. And when I got there, the Mississippi Bureau of Narcotics, the director there was there, and somebody said, you need to speak to him. He needs to hear this. And when I did, he had that year had asked, the legislature about a law like this, about holding drug dealers accountable. And they said it's never happened.
That guy that you talked to went to the legislation.
Yes,
he brought it up.
Yes, and he had already talked about it, and they said, no, you never catch a dealer with a victim. That just isn't happen. And he heard about Parker, and I go, this is it. And he said, this is it. This is how we get it. And so that's when I started, and went to Governor Bryant's office, and he was all about it. He said, yes, this definitely has to get passed. And so it took me 4.5, almost 5 years to get it passed, but I did. Talking to a lot of people in the hallway and grabbing a senator here or a representative here, and and talking to them and making them realize this can happen to any kid, and it needs to be there.
Were you nervous to just grab these people? Like, how do you start that conversation?
It's the mama in you
Yes.
that does it. I mean, I thought, like, walking up on the Capitol Hill, on the stairs, and I was like, okay, Cordie, you got this, just don't even think about it. And once I started, I baked cookies. And, well, actually, my next-door neighbor baked the cookies, beautiful cookies. And I started giving them out. And I said, they were gorgeous cookies. And so I said, here, and then may I speak to you a little bit? And, anybody that had that little pin on them, I was grabbing them. I was like, okay, I need to speak to you. And so it just, it was just constantly. And I remember Senator Polk one time, I was sitting there maybe the third year, and he just looked at me. He said, you sweet thing. He said, you're back. You're not going to stop. I said, no, I'm not.
Good for you.
So anyway, finally it happened, and now I'm going back because there's so many synthetic drugs, even deadlier than fentanyl, and that need to be on Parker's Law. And so I don't want to see a parent that has a kid that died of Nazidine or any xylazine or any of those drugs that are so deadly, and they will be like me at the beginning. There's nothing that they can do because there's not a law, and that's not right. So hopefully we can get them put on
I
there.
want to know, why did it take 5 years? What were the pushback from the legislators? Like, it seems like an obvious law to pass.
It does.
So what was the
I
holdup?
mean, what does anybody not think a dealer needs to not go to prison if
Right.
they kill someone? One of the big things is, and harm reduction had a lot to do with it, because I'd go in one door and they'd come right behind me, and they didn't want to see an addict go to prison, that they felt like they needed help. If they were an addict and they were selling to help themselves and they caused a death, they should get a pass. They just passed that line of, no, you shouldn't be able to go back and, get a do-over, because that child that you just killed doesn't get a do-over. And
Can I just say, the dealers aren't addicts for the most part.
The one that killed Parker, he wasn't an addict.
No, they're
I
businessmen.
know.
They're trying to make money.
But you can't get people to understand that.
Mm.
And then they think, well, it's just, I hate to say it, but a lot of people think, well, they were an addict.
Mm-hmm.
And the stigma.
Yep.
And it just, they just didn't understand. And I would show them a picture of Parker, and I go, this is my son. He wasn't an addict. He wasn't into the drug scene. I said, but he still died. He died.
Mm-hmm.
There is people that are nurses that take it from a friend that die. There are college kids that want to study and get something to help them and might get an Adderall from a friend that die. These are kids that take a half of a pill just because of anxiety that die. And they need to start understanding that. And so that's what took so long, is to convince them that this could happen. And actually the guy that was the representative, Nick Bain, that helped me, and he was awesome, his friend lost a daughter that died that year. And so he really hit on it that year and got Parker's Law passed and Victoria's bill passed. And Victoria's bill was the girl that died, and she was a nurse that had taken something, and it killed her. And her bill is the pill press that it's illegal to have a pill press unless it's registered.
Okay.
And so that got passed along with Parker's Law.
Nice.
Yeah. But it was hard and it was frustrating.
That's a lot of work. It's a long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for your persistence.
And you think, gosh, it only makes sense to get this passed, but no,
Yeah.
and I went this past year to get the other synthetic drugs on there, and I would have thought I'd have had an easy time.
I got to
No.
plead ignorance to the drugs. I don't know anything you just mentioned. Nazadine and tell us what
Xylazine, Nazadine,
What is this?
the one that starts with the M.
Oh my
Anyway,
gosh.
there's so many out there that are coming down that through China
Mm-hmm.
and countries like that, and Narcan doesn't even help.
Mm.
I mean, they are so strong, so much stronger than fentanyl, and they're even adding it into drugs with fentanyl and other things, and making it stronger and killing people. And so it's just. I had talked to one guy that he was with the DEA, Derek Maltz in Washington, and we were talking about Parker's Law. And he said, Cordie, you need to get all illicit synthetic drugs put on Parker's Law.
Mm-hmm.
And he was right. I do. It needs to be there. And because after one gets there, they just keep on. They keep on bringing
They come up with a new one.
Yeah, new one.
That's like the one that has lidocaine in it. So like you were saying with the Narcan, the Narcan doesn't work because the lidocaine, you're already going into respiratory depression in it.
Here, speak up a little
Oh,
bit.
sorry. Is that better?
Yeah.
So when you give the one that has lidocaine in it, when you give Narcan, it doesn't do anything because your body is already going into the respiratory depression because of the lidocaine. And so the Narcan, like how it blocks the receptors, it doesn't allow it to do it because of the lidocaine numbing you. Like,
And it makes you wonder, these countries that are sending this down here.
Right.
It's like, okay, we've got Narcan now. Now we got to figure out something else
Yeah.
something
that's
stronger.
even stronger
Yeah.
that'll kill these kids. So, yeah, it's very scary.
Yeah. Tell us about Mason.
Mason, oh Lord. He was the funniest kid ever, like just goofy.
Yeah.
All the time goofy. Has an older brother. Grew up. He went to school at Mansdale and then Germantown. And then he passed away 6 weeks before his high school graduation. He would not do drugs. Was so against him. He wanted to join the military. And that's what he was doing from the time he was like 11. That's what he was doing. He was going, except for the time when he told me that he was going to go to school online so I never had to be alone. I'm like, oh, no, sir. One day you're going to have to move out. But completely against drugs. And, with COVID, and I know everyone says that when COVID hit, this happened and this happened. And, well, Mason had a blood disorder from the time he was little. So he was always sick, always looked sick. And when COVID hit, they're like, oh, he can't go back to school because of, his blood disorders and stuff. And he had trouble in school. So when he was little, we got him put on Adderall, and it helped. He went from like 20s and 30s to 80s. He's like, oh, man, Mom, like, I'm not thinking about what I'm going to do after school. I'm actually like learning. And then in his junior year, he's like, I don't want to take it anymore. I was like, that's fine. But he was struggling, and he's like, I don't know if I can make it through my senior year at school. I don't know. I'm having trouble. So he went and got a job and hurt his back at work. And his boss was like, here's Percocet.
His boss gave him Percocet?
Mm-hmm. And so he took it, and I guess he had taken a couple more of them, not knowing that it had fentanyl in it.
Mm-hmm.
But you could tell, like, he didn't feel good. And he just thought he didn't feel good. And then Labor Day weekend of 22, he had been to work that day, and I had off, and I was sitting in the living room. He was out, him and his girlfriend were out there talking to me, and 8 minutes later, she came out from when they said they were going in his room. She came out and said he was overdosing. And so I jumped up and went running down the hall, and I was asking her what he was overdosing on. And she said a Percocet. His boss gave him a Percocet. And when I got in there, he was already like barely breathing, barely had a pulse.
Mm-mm.
So I didn't even question why she was handing me Narcan. But his girlfriend handed me Narcan. I gave it to him. Didn't work. Gave it to him again. And I was talking to 911, giving him CPR, doing sternum rubs. And he finally, I remember he was on the floor and his dog was laying on him and would not get off him.
Aw.
And finally got the dog off him and he was laying there and all of a sudden he just like took a big old gasp. And then he didn't breathe out. And I remember just like, Mason. And so then he finally took a breath and he looked at me and he just like had this weird look on his face and he's like, why are you hollering at Taylor to get the dog off me? We laid down to take a nap and you're hollering at her. And I had no idea of what was going on because I knew a Percocet wouldn't do that to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the EMTs got there and he went to the hospital and I was talking to one of the nurses and she's like, that was fentanyl. And it just blew my mind that because we gave it to patients at work.
Mm.
And I didn't know. I wasn't like, I guess you just, other than like, you kind of heard about Parker's Law and little things, but you didn't hear about fentanyl getting put into pills.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I was like, okay, I have a camera in my house. I'm going to show Mason that 911 video of, me hollering at him not to die on the phone 911. I was like, that'll, whatever choices he made, that'll make him open his eyes. And he'd be like, oh, I ain't doing that again. I'm going to stay on my trail to military. And it was a downward spiral for the next 6 months until he died.
Mm.
He, I didn't realize how strong fentanyl was. Or, I would see him be sick and it was like the flu. But because he'd always been sick, I didn't think too much about it. And, he was withdrawing, at this time, and he just couldn't beat it.
Mm.
So he was trying.
He would try. And, he was very, all through his life, he had a lot of friends, but he wasn't big into, going to somebody's house and staying or going here. He liked to be home. So when he was, 17, 18 and wanted to be home all the time, I didn't think much about it. I'm like, he's hanging out with his girlfriend, doesn't want to be in the party scene anyways. We went through this stuff with his brother, so he's not going for it. And I didn't know it would be half the time because he was either high or withdrawing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a downward spiral. And then I put him in rehab. I did a court order for him to go to rehab. And I was so shocked that it took 2 weeks to get in front of a judge to get him in somewhere. And that couple weeks was awful. It was like he didn't care. He didn't care what happened. He didn't care if he was high, in my face and walking around the house. And I didn't understand until after he died what fentanyl does to you.
Mm-hmm.
Then he went to rehab. He was in there 54 days. And when he got out, he died 4 days later.
Mm.
I'm so sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
How do you breathe?
Sometimes I don't. Don't breathe, don't sleep. You're from the minute you wake up in the morning, that's on your mind. I don't know about you with Parker, but
Yeah. Fixing to be 12 years and same thing.
and with Mason, I still have days I'm so mad at him. He made stupid choices, and I know it gets to a point to where you can't help it, and the cravings and the withdrawals and being sick when you don't have it. I understand that it's more than what most people think it is. Well, if you want to stop, just stop. That it's not that easy. But I still have days I'm like, man, you were 18 years old. You had your whole life ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
And
God, they were young.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things, when I speak with kids, is I try to tell them everything you do has repercussions. Anything that you do affects not just you, but everyone else, all your
Mhm.
loved ones. And Parker making that one decision, literally destroyed families, and friends. And he wouldn't have wanted that. He didn't want that. He loved his mama so much, and he loved his family, and he loved his friends, and he was so good. But I try to tell kids, just that one split decision can change so much to so many people's lives. And I always just tell them, you don't want your mom up here. You don't want your mom up here talking to other kids. And so, anyway, that that seems to, get to them. And I just hope that does, that, that they can see their decisions as so much more than just themselves.
I would think, like with Mason, when he got out of rehab, he got out on a Sunday, and I did welfare checks to a few places Sunday, Monday. Finally, Tuesday afternoon, I heard from him. And when he called, boy, I was screaming. I was so mad at him. I just, the mom, and just hollering. And then we both finally calmed down, and we were talking. And I remember telling him, I was like, Mason, if you don't get to this new rehab, I'm like, the next phone call that I get is going to be that you're dead. And I'm not high. That was his big thing. I'm not high. You're crazy. You're crazy telling me I'm high. I'm not. I'm sober. Which was a lie, but he's like, I'm going tomorrow. I said, Mason, that the next phone call that I get is going to be that they found you. And sure enough, at 11:03 the next morning, got the phone call. And I don't understand, like you were saying, with like how they don't only affect themselves. Like, so Mason, that Tuesday night, he ended up being 5 minutes from my house. And he was with quite a few people, and the dealer brought it to him. And so Mason and the other people there got high, and then they asked Mason, did he want hot shots? And he's like, no. I've gotten poked my whole life. No, I don't want that. And they're like, oh, come on, it'll be even better. Like, you've never had this high. And he kept telling him no, he didn't want it. He was high enough. And this was all like in text messages, that he was high enough. And when I got the toxicology report, he had 33 milligrams of fentanyl in his system. And it takes 2 to be a lethal dose. And he had 3 hot shots to his stomach, so deep that it punctured his bowels. And I guess the dealer decided that Mason wasn't high enough, so they gave him the hot shots. And
Wait, that's crazy.
yeah, and there were 6 people there that night. They watched Mason die. Didn't give him Narcan. Moved him to another room, and then took pictures of him and put it across some of their Snapchats. I'm so thankful that my older son, because they didn't run with the same crowd, but knew the same people. I'm so thankful that Snapchat of Mason after he passed away didn't get to Lane. And so they put him in a room, and then they waited 12 hours to call the cops. I don't understand how any of them can, lay their head down. I can't lay my head down at night.
Right.
Like, I don't understand, even when they're sober, like how they can lay their heads down knowing that, that they killed somebody, or, like left them there. And when they did call the cops, and we went to the funeral home, my husband and I pulled into the funeral home, and then Mason pulled in after us. But I remember that morning when the cops called, I'd done a welfare check, and his girlfriend called me, and she was like, they found Mason. Oh, y'all, I was mad. I'm like, oh, where is he? He better, tell somebody where he is and get to that new rehab. Well, that's not how they found him. And when the cops called, they just kept telling me that they found a body. They found the dead body. Like, where were they going to take this dead body? And trying to listen to what they're saying, but at the same time, I remember telling them, just Narcan him. it'll work. Narcan him. It'll bring him back. You know, I've had to do it. Give him CPR. Give him Narcan. It works. And they just kept telling me that they had this kid's dead body and needed to know where to take it. And then, like, I remember this scream that didn't know. It came from me, but, like, you don't even know where it comes from or, like, how it came. And
it almost sounds animal type.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Every mom that has lost a child describes that scream, and you hear it yourself,
yeah,
and you don't recognize that kind of scream.
Yeah.
And that it's just, it is. It comes from inside you, and it sounds animal-like.
Mhm.
It just, there's so much hurt.
Yeah.
I was at I was at work when I got the call, and we had a couple patients, and actually one of our patients is, I know them, and when I talked to her, she's like, I remember sitting in the room with my husband, just waiting for the doctor to come in. She was like, and you could hear y'all around the corner, and she's like, and then she was like, it was just panic. She's like, she's like, I replay hearing you scream. She's like, and she goes, and I told my husband I didn't know what happened, but whatever it wasn't good. And it's, I think, with any of them, like, after your child passes away, like, at nighttime, you have nightmares, so it's like you don't want to sleep because you're going to have the nightmares, and it's just like this spiral of no sleeping because it's going to come in the sleep, and it's going to happen when you lay down at night. And I think like the dealers, like Mason's dealer, he said that he was an upstanding citizen that was trying to earn extra money for his family. To me, that's not, having my child, dead doesn't then put money in your pocket. And I've asked several people, I'm like, I don't understand with dealers that if somebody that bought from you died, like, why would people still go to them? And I was so shocked when they said that more people go to them after somebody dies because, like, oh, they have the good stuff. We want to go to them.
Stronger.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That just blew my mind. And Mason's dealer, I tried getting him under Parker's Law, and he ended up taking a plea deal for distributing fentanyl.
Did he get any?
He got 10 years. And I mean, I get it, but in 10 years he gets out.
Yeah.
And you watched my child die. You sat with him for 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't do anything.
Did any of the other six get any kind of manslaughter or negligence or like Samaritan's Law or anything? No?
Nope.
Why?
And I don't know. A bunch of them were, I'm addicted to fentanyl. I need help. I'll go to rehab. And that was that's how they got out of it.
Yeah.
Which I think is crazy. I mean, you didn't try to give Narcan. You didn't call 911. All y'all, took pictures and put it across your Snapchat stories. And
Yeah.
That
moved
part
him
really
in.
gets me.
That's just
That's
eerie.
horrible.
I just
Yeah.
I don't understand how. And so after Mason died, I heard through, like mutual friends of theirs, and they're like, oh my gosh, they named a cat after like Mason's dead body. Like, I don't understand how, like, anybody can like think it's funny or cute or, when then you have us. And if you listen to our stories, or if you walk today in our heads, I think if you would second guess a lot of your decisions, because it affects, me. And I know it's like affected my husband and I were only married 6 weeks when Mason passed away. I think it affects, you with your other children, your marriage, your friend, like your all day, everyday life.
Because a mama can't stop thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I mean, you lay your head down, you're thinking about it. You wake up, you're thinking about it. You think it through the whole day. I mean, it's fixing to be 12 years, and I still live like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's how I always live. And I just, You just don't think it's right. It's not fair. And I've come to the conclusion, that God, this is what I'm here for, that with Parker's death, a purpose did come out of it. And hopefully it is saving lives, and hopefully it is bringing justice to families. And but it's still, I'd give anything to have my son back.
Absolutely.
Mm.
No, you would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is. It's so hard, and that's a mom's nightmare, worst nightmare, and you live that nightmare the rest of your life.
It is. It's so scary. Like, I worry about my son all the time. He's 17 now, and he's never, gotten into anything yet. And we have so much addiction all throughout my family. And so I will lay in bed at night, and I'll like act like get upset because I'm thinking like, I don't want this life
It's
for
very
him,
scary. Yes.
and it's just scary.
It is.
I had a girl ask me last night. I've known her when all of our kids were little. They used to play together, and then I moved over here and haven't seen her or talked to her in years. And I saw her last night, and we were talking, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, how are your kids?" And like that question, or when you meet somebody and tell them that you have kids, oh well, how old are they? It's like that scream and that reality. It slaps you in the face again. Like it'll never get easier. It'll never any of that. And like Cordie said, it's always with us. But then when you have those questions, like when I told the girl last night, I was like, oh, Lane will be 25 this year, and I was like, Mason will be forever 18.
Yeah.
I'm like, he passed a little over 3 years ago.
And it's hard to see their friends having families, starting families, careers.
I bet. Yeah.
I saw one of my friends, her husband, he's an architect, and he's Parker's age, and he's got 2 kids. And I thought, that could be Parker.
Mm-hmm.
He could be living his life, his dream. And it's just all taken away. And so you don't want to think that anything can happen to your kids. But this world's so dangerous now. It can happen to anybody's kid.
It does not discriminate.
No.
In any way.
And so that's what we're hoping, that people come to this event and they listen and they tell others, and that, that this is known, and that they tell their kids. We had no idea if Parker knew that there could be a deadly drug in what he took. He would have never taken it.
Mm-mm.
I mean, it was explained to him, I think, of an LSD type, hallucinant or something. And I think he was just like, what the heck, school's fixing to start, getting serious, I'll do it. But he would have never done anything that would have harmed himself. And I just want, we all want, parents to realize that no kid is good enough to not get hooked to drugs or to die from just a one time.
And it doesn't matter. Like with Mason, people are like, oh my gosh, well, he was on drugs. And it's the stigma that's tied to, like when I say I know that my kid, was on drugs, and I did everything that I knew to do to get him help. And ultimately, I couldn't save Mason from himself. But if I can get like one person or one parent or somebody to be like, oh, this person needs help, or I need help, or a mom, how many have we seen? And they're like, I've never talked about what happened until like I've met all y'all. Like, and I feel comfortable enough talking with y'all, and then they tell their story. And now, I know a couple of people that they've put their child on a banner and they're coming to the walk, and little by little, one mom, like she's opening up more, and I've known her for a few years. And
I mean, I had
hearing
no
all of
idea.
us,
We started Magnolia Mothers together, and and it was just so many, and
Tell
now
me
it's
about it.
adding more. It was just really us. We all started meeting. There was Texas Production Film Company
Right.
started taking stories, and that's where we met, a few of us.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started on a thread, and then it seemed like there was more. And then we thought, well, we really need to get a name. We need to start a group. And Renee's always good about thinking and figuring out what name. So I said, okay, Renee, you figure out a name and we'll get it started. So we're fixing to start a 501c and have Magnolia Mothers. And so we probably, I don't know how many's in the group, but it's a good many. And we have probably about 40 on a banner. And so it's growing. And the thing is, no one knows how we feel except us.
Yep.
I'm with a grief group called Too Soon in Madison, and they helped me through this. I would not have ever made it through this without them. I mean, when Parker passed away, a couple of the ladies came to my house, and it's just, you never, to go through this, even your husband, my husband was very good and very attentive for those couple years. And then a mom goes through it completely different than a dad.
Yeah.
And so that's why a lot of divorces happen when you lose a child, is because they can compartmentalize things. Mom, you just can't let it go. You can't let it go. And so it's hard. But you can talk to other moms that have been through this, and they understand. And so with the group that has lost their child through fentanyl or other synthetic drugs, we understand the heart and the heartbreak of losing a child, but we also understand the battle of trying to save other kids from this.
And having the stigma attached to us as moms and our children, I think makes our group even closer, because you have this group that's lost a child and this group, but because we battle the stigma with how we lost our children, whether they knew what they were doing or they didn't, I think that has brought us closer, because not only do we talk about losing our children, but we know we have everybody, the uneducated people that look and they're like, oh my gosh, well, suck it up. Your kid was doing this. And, when they took that pill, no matter what it was, they knew what could happen. And it's not like that.
No,
It's, you know.
And you get people that are very sympathetic and, will talk to you. But then you get those people that are give you sarcasm. And I know I was at Neshoba County Fair one time, and I was putting up banners to make everybody realize, what can happen, because there's so many people at Neshoba County Fair. And then I knew it was Politician Day, and I wanted them to see I was trying to get Parker's Law passed. And everybody was being great. Even the Mannings put one up. And everybody after that was like, yes, we'll put a banner up. And it was all these kids that died. Can you see me now? And I went to this one guy, and he was a political reporter, and he got so mad at me asking to put that banner up, because this was his vacation. He did not want me doing that, and he didn't want to have to explain this to his grandkids of what that banner meant. And so anyway, I put it up and told him thank you, and he walked inside, and then he came back out. And he said, not to make a complete ass of myself, but this was your son's fault. And then he walked back in. And you get some people like that.
Do you have his address?
I could say his name, but I think he's dealing with sickness right now and everything. But yeah.
Good.
Yes.
And I think it's comments like that make us push even harder. Because you do have the people that just don't know.
Right.
And, with their family or just in general, they just don't know. And so having people say stuff like that, because, I get it with Mason. And that pushes me even more to want to talk about it and to educate the people that just honestly don't know. And then for the ones that do or have been through it, to be there is a group for each other. And so then when the people say bad stuff or, that it was their own fault, and where I know that this one person may say this, but then you have 10 people that we made aware, that Narcan can be used for more than this, or, different things like that. I think that pushes for us to keep talking.
And I mean, and when you get that it's their own fault, I'm not taking the blame off of Parker. Parker did take it. It was his decision. But he was 22 years old, wasn't thinking.
We all
was
did
just
dumb stuff when we
thinking,
were young.
Yeah, it was a stupid mistake. But that one stupid mistake, he didn't deserve to lose his life, to lose his dreams. He didn't. And the drug dealer that brought 450 synthetic drugs to a college town to make money, yes, he needs to be in jail.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like that when Kim Johnson talks about it, like she talks about like this is poisoning. This
Yes.
is murder.
It
Like
is.
that's what it is.
It is. I mean, yes. I mean, and that's what all of us moms would get offended when they say overdose.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an overdose. There was no safe dosage in fentanyl to take. There's no safe dosage of any of these synthetic drugs that you take. A half a pill is not an overdose. These kids didn't know what they were doing, and a lot of them died by mistake. A lot of them died just wanting to be able to study, just a little help on studying. It's not fair, and our kids were taken from us, and so now as mamas are trying to make a difference, and with this Walk for Lives, hopefully, I'm just praying that, people come out and they bring their friends or they tell people, and they realize, if anything, to just get a free can of Narcan to put in your medicine cabinet, in case something happens in your home. And I think Narcan's $60 or so at a prescription. So you're getting a thing of free Narcan.
I'm going for the boat.
I know. It's fine.
Well, it's not a free boat, but it's a free boat tour.
Yeah.
Fishing. But yeah, but yeah. So come out and get a spa or maybe some free gas.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a fun day. It's not going to be. I say fun. I'll use that term loosely, but I mean it's going to be an educational, but not like oh my gosh, what am I going to have to sit and listen to? It's going to be educational and a good, fun. Like us having the inflatable house, like family-friendly event.
Yes, I think
morning.
that's good to know. Because when people think of like a fentanyl walk or, an event like this, they're probably like, well, it feels like I'm probably going to like some funeral for someone I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And like, that's not the vibe.
Or you got to listen to
here.
all
No,
these
not at all.
just speakers talking about something and, boring. But I think everybody's going to be very interested to learn and know the facts and know what's going out, know things before you send your kid to college or, your teens out there. Know what's going on in this life and how you can help prevent it. And so we'll have that, and we'll have us three mom stories and then a recovery story. But in between all that, we're going to be giving away great live music and then great giveaways. And so hopefully people come out.
Yeah, I hope so too. And like, if you hear these stories and you hear, you're so affected by this and, you're listening to this and you're like, oh, that's awful. I wish there was something I could do. Like there is, like, just come.
Yes.
Just come.
Yeah.
Like, come for 30 minutes, come for 4 hours, like whatever your day looks like. Sign up and get there. And like, because I just think about it, like if it was my son and something happened and I'm out there telling his story, and I want people to show up for him. I want people to show up for his memory, and I don't know. It's just so important.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I do have a question. Okay, so when you tell someone, like when, someone asks about your kids and how old they are or whatever, and you let them know, like, well, I lost my son. And what is something you don't like hearing, and what's something you do like hearing? Like, how do people respond?
Well, one of the things, and my husband hated this at work, is I know how you feel, you know. And one man had told him, he came home one day and he was like, I can't believe he said that. And I said, what? He said, yeah, I know how you feel. My dog just died.
Yep.
Ugh.
And it just gets all over you, you know, and they don't know how you feel unless you've lost a child. I have a cousin that lost a 22-year-old son, and for 10 years, you know, I was like, you know, I'm sorry, and I just felt bad for her, and then when Parker died, when I called her, I just said I never knew, and no mom can even fathom. I mean, you cannot put in your head of the pain, of the anguish, of what it really does feel like to lose that child. And so to say, I know how you feel, you don't, unless you're, you know, unless you lost one.
That's like my aunt that lost her, I lost my cousin. We didn't know that it was fentanyl. We thought it was heroin. He, battled it for years and went to recovery in California and ended up passing away. And later found out, I didn't know until after Mason passed away, that it was fentanyl in it too. But I remember, I'm very close to my aunt, and me and my cousin and Mason all pretty well look alike. And I remember when Troy passed away, I had no clue. I knew, that my aunt, they live in upstate New York, so I didn't see her, but just, hearing my family and how close we are and what she was going through, I'm like, oh, my gosh, and you do, even your family, you feel bad and you want to do something, but you don't understand. And when Mason died, my mom called her that morning, and she's like, I'm getting a plane ticket. I'm coming down now. And she's like, if I'm grouchy or having a bad day or just, I'm thinking whatever for that day, I know that she knows exactly where my head is. Mm. And I remember when they came down after Mason passed away, and we just did a little pretty well family only thing at my mom's house. I didn't want to do a service, and I didn't want, people that he associated with or friends or anything coming around. So we just did something small at my mom's. And I remember laying in my mom's room on the bed with his urn in there, and my aunt came in and laid down with me. And I was like, she knows exactly.
Yeah.
That I don't want to leave this room. And it's having people that understand and
yeah. I know my family has
you.
been great. Some people, they try to keep it quiet and, hush hush, or they're scared to hurt your feelings.
Right.
They think that if they mention your son or your daughter's name, that it's going to bring you to, you're going to be sad.
Please talk about it.
But yes, that's one thing, is please talk about it. I know when some of Parker's friends will send pictures that they have found of Parker, and they'll send to me, and that is the greatest gift that they could ever do. And I know my family, I'm just blessed with them. They loved Parker, and they want to talk about Parker. And I know I hadn't seen my sister in a long time, well, for a little while, a few years, and she had her little girl. And they got in the car, and her little girl, I guess she was about 5 at that time, and she saw a picture in the car of Parker. She said, oh, that's Parker. And I looked, and I go, how does she know Parker? And my sister Vicki said, oh, I tell stories all the time. I talk to her all the time about Parker. And that's just, it's wonderful. It's wonderful that your family, just keeps them alive.
Yeah.
And I think some of their friends do too.
Yes.
With Mason being 6 weeks from graduation, the counselor called and she's like, hey, I know that it's very, very new, but she's like, Mason's graduating class wants you to come and sit in his seat for graduation. I was like, oh man, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go. I can do this. I could not do that. But I called her a couple days before, and I was like, I can't. I can't sit in a seat, and I can't watch them graduate knowing that my child was supposed to be up there. And she was like, well, okay. She was like, we were going to call Mason's name. And she's like, the graduating class did a fundraiser for some of their stuff. She's like, but they did a separate one to get all of Mason's graduation stuff purchased to give to you. I was like, man. So I went the next week and I picked it up and I, I thought like, with it, I'm like, my child just passed away and these kids are getting ready to graduate high school, and they took the time to do a separate fundraiser to do that for me, and like they had it in a frame and his diploma and all that. And I was like, they people, they do think about you and think about your child, and even with it being so new, that showed me that there's so much more than how your kid died.
Right.
Like how they were.
I know
when they were here.
When Parker passed away, his friends were sharing things with me and my husband. And there were videos of Parker doing karaoke and dancing. And because one of his friends was sick, she said, he'd bring me chicken soup. He'd go to an Oriental restaurant and get this certain soup, and he'd bring it. And she said he'd play board games. I mean, he was constantly going. And he had so many friends. And I know my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, they would come on the weekends at our house because we just built one. And they go, every week there's different people coming through here. And I go, Parker gets around. But they would say he was always, taking care of sick friends, or he'd go do this or go do that. And so he just always, was there for his friends. And he loved so hard. I mean, loved his family. And he had an uncle and aunt at Starkville that was like his grandma and grandpa. And he called him Granddaddy. And I would go, okay, Parker, have you been? Have you gone to see him? And you're there, right there. And he goes, I know, Mom, I am. I'm getting around. I had supper with them. And I said, well, they're not. Oh, if I said they're not going to be around long. No, Mom, do not say that. But he just loved his family so deeply and his friends so deeply. And so, I can tell with a lot of friends how much he's meant to them. And got some that have had babies that have named after him. And, it's just very heartwarming, to hear that and go to weddings, and he's the honorary best, on the, best man. And so it does. They love him, and, that's
and
part of
they
their
don't
life.
forget them.
No, they don't.
They keep saying their names.
Yeah.
And I think as a mom, like, I want you to say Mason's name.
Right.
Like, tell me some funny story that he said because he was so goofy. Like, tell me something from not just, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that he passed away. But like the funny, goofy stuff, and you come up to me and you tell me, like, I love it. It makes my day.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so grateful that y'all came today, and that you share, these things about your sons and their stories. And I know it's difficult, but you're doing the difficult stuff. And so I'm looking forward to the event. I'm grateful that you guys have put together this community where you can rely on each other and lean on each other. And it's inspiring to know how strong people can be. And not okay at the same time.
Yeah. Right.
Very much.
So, yeah, thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank y'all.
Y'all sign up.
Yes.
Yes, come walk with us.
Come.
Yes.